Well, here we are, day 4 of George's virtual tractor day. Great response yesterday from the Standard Fordsons. Everybody liked the stories, or everybody seemed to like the stories. There's certainly some good feedback, and that's really, how I want to do it. I can hit you with the facts and figures, but that's boring to me. So we're going to do a different one today. Don't want to tell you too much about it. I think we'll just bang straight into it, and then I'll talk to you after and see what you think. So off you go. Well, what a day we've had today. It's sort of memorable day really, because this is George's tractor day. I suppose some of you don't even know where George is, so I'll tell you a bit about George first. George is my great nephew, and he's about 6 now, but he had a difficult birth, and he was born with hemiplegia. Now, hemiplegia is almost the symptoms of a stroke down one side, and he hadn't got the use of his, or the best he could use it, but not best use of his arm and leg, and he was a bit wobbly. But he absolutely lovely lad, superb. And his uncle Stuart, he dotes on him. So that's my nephew, and he decided that he was going to raise some money for George, because George needed some special treatment, which was, I think it was £10,000, which is a lot of money to raise. It wasn't available on the National Health, but Stuart decided he was going to raise the money. So because he was putting in such an effort to it, they live up in Oxfordshire. We said we'd do something down here, and as a lot of you know, I'm quite well involved with our rally, St Morgan Vintage Rally, and I said to the boys, look, I want to do something for my nephew, and of course they're all in agreement. So I said we'll have an open day at my place, and we'll call it George's Tractor Day. And so we did it. We had an auction, we had a raffle, we did all sorts of things. We had a tractor run. We had a lot of people turn up. It was a fabulous day. We had the weather with us, and we were expecting to raise £1,000, as you do. But and if we could have raised that, we'd have thought it was great. And we actually raised £4,500, which was fantastic. And because Stuart and Laura, George's mother, they were over the moon with it, and Matt, who's Laura's husband. Stuart himself, he put on a ball, and they've had a horse racing night and various things, and the £10,000 became 20-something thousand, and everybody thought what a great day it was. And so we said, okay, we'll do this again. We've done George's thing, but we'll raise some money for something else. So the following year we did the same thing. The weather wasn't so good, but we still raised, I think it was about £2,000, and we shared it out amongst the playgroups in the area, and then third year the weather was good, but we'd had a disaster with our vintage rally, so we supported the rally with the money for that. So it was one of these things that it was good. Of course, this year we've missed it, so this is George's virtual tractor day. It started me on these blogs. The blogs appear to be popular, so I can have a go with that and see what we can come up with. Now Timmy comes into it. Timmy is my mate. We've been mates for 40 something years. I know he doesn't look old enough, and I don't look old enough to have been mates for that long, because we weren't at primary school together. But we've had a lot of fun. Sometimes he frustrates the hell out of me, but and I do the same with him. So it doesn't matter. I'd sort of, if I say I'm his keeper, that's the wrong thing. I look after him, and he keeps his stuff here, and every so often I'll threaten him if he don't tidy it up. I'm going to bulldoze it up with a forklift or something, and he does. So we get all sorts of things, but he does turn up with some unusual items, and he turns up with some nice tractors and stuff like that, and I'll bully him, and no, that's wrong. I persuade him into selling them to me. I tell him I'll throw him out if he doesn't sell me the tractor. But it's all very jovial, and actually I save the tractors, because Tim is notorious for buying something and he'll just leave it and won't do what he should with it. So it's a shame, because he buys some nice stuff. Anyway, that's sort of the background. Now, Timmy has got some real treasures about. He's got a field marshal which he keeps here, and he's had that for a long time. That's got to be 30-something years, because when I was farming, he came and did some harrowing with it, and it's one of the highlights of his life, I think, was that bit of harrowing he did. But had some smoke rings coming out of the marshal, and it was good. Anyway, one of his treasures is this Austin 12 truck, which I showed you a bit of last night on the blog, and I challenged him. He's been doing it up for years, and I bet him, he's had it 20 years, and I bet him £50, it's got to be 6 years ago, that he wouldn't have it ready for our rally. And true to form, Timmy didn't do it. I never had the 50 quid, but I didn't really want it. I was just trying to spur him on to do it. But he didn't do it, and it's been stored in a container. He did quite a lot of work to it. He had the chassis sandblasted and painted and all sorts of things. And anyway, this was a great opportunity to this coronavirus thing. Timmy was locked down. I said he could come here and use his workshop here as long as he kept away, so we've kept the separation, and we're very strict on the 2 metre thing, because Timmy's got he's got a lung condition which he has to look after, so it's his own interest to do the isolation. So I haven't been able to help him a lot, but I did say to him, he worked on a tractor first, and he got stymied for parts. So I said, well, it's time you got that bloody truck out, Tim, and got on with it. So he brought it out and started work on it, and he got most of the stuff for it, so it was just a case of putting it together, and it was a big jigsaw. So he's been working on it, and he was starting to lose interest. So I challenged him on Facebook, and I said, look, here's a challenge. I challenge you to get it ready for June the 15th to get down the village. And I'd take a photograph of it, and I'd put it on the front of our parish magazine, which I'm editor of. So that was a challenge, and he took it up. I'll accept the challenge, and away he went. Well, he was like a dynamo up here. He was flying round, and I said, Christ, Tim, the way you're going, I mean, this is only 10 days ago, I suppose. I said, you'll have it done by the 15th of May at this rate, so Friday. So, I don't know. I said, come on, Timmy, let's get on. You can do it. So I said, if you do it, I'll buy you an ice cream down the shop. We'll go down the shop and I'll buy you an ice cream. And then we decided that he'd buy the ice cream because he owed me the 50 quid. And so we've been rushing about to do it, and he's been getting on well. I've been sort of timing what he's been doing. I get a daily update on where he got to. And yesterday, he was nearly there. He got the engine running, got the gearbox done, clutch was done, brakes were ready to go. It just got some wheels to put on, and wasn't very much left to do at all. Fix the seating, because that was quite important. But he'd done it. So this morning, he was raring to go, and I've been revving it up on Facebook as well. Different ones asking me, and I said it in the blog. And of course, it was, is he going to do it? Is he going to do it? And I didn't want to get in the village too early, because I wanted the photographs. So I didn't want the sun in the wrong place. So I said we'd be late afternoon, and I put a time on it, 4 o'clock. I said we'll be down there at 4 o'clock. Anyway, Timmy was making good progress. He needed some timber cut, so I cut him some timber for the floor of the truck and found him some blocks to hold the seat up with. And so he was lined up, but I couldn't get near him to help him, really. We had to keep this social distance all the time. So it wasn't easy. But we were nearly there. And we pushed the truck out and got it ready to go. And do you think that bloody thing would start? It'd been good, but it wouldn't start, and it was flooded. So I said, it's no good, Tim. We're going to have to tow it to get it started, because time was getting on. And I'd driven up with my Range Rover, because I don't know why I drove up here, but I drove up to where it was, and got in it, and it wouldn't start. And oh, Christ, I've got a flat battery. and because they take so much power, it just drained it that bit. I've hardly used it for the last 6 weeks, and there wasn't enough life in it to do it. By the time it started everything up, it said a service was due, or what it meant was it wanted a new battery. So we had to get the charger and stick the charger on it, and then turned it round and we towed it. And I said, well, I'll tow you to the hill, and then you run off and go down it. So that's what he did. He ran down the hill, and it started up, and away it went. And I followed, and we got down to the river at the bottom of our place, and Timmy was sat there in the truck, and I said, oh, Christ, it's not... No, he said, it's all right, it's going well. He said, it's going well, but he said, the brakes aren't as good as you think. He said, they're a bit hard, because they're cable brakes on drums, there's no servo or anything, and it's going to be hard. So I said, well, I'll go in front, but I said, for Christ's sake, don't run into me, because although his truck is probably worth more than my Range Rover, he wouldn't do any damage to his truck, but he just might to my Range Rover. So I said, you be careful. So what we did, we put the tow strap on it, and although the engine was running, we towed it to the top of the hill. So he hadn't got any problem with... He was worried if he stalled, he might run backwards and wouldn't be able to stop. So it was a typical Taylor-Mitchell combination, but we got there in the end. And then we got up to 5 turn-ins, and this thing backfired, and oh Christ! And then along comes a pair of horses with a young foal, and you know, oh Christ, Tim, you've got to stop it. You've got to stop it, because they're never going to pass. So he stopped it, and that gave us a chance to just titivate it a bit. And we hadn't got the bonnet on. We put the bonnet on up at 5 turn-ins, and I said, right, we're going to go now. I said, well, you follow me down. You bump start it and follow me down, and I'll get down there and we'll try and film you coming in. And that's what we did. And it did arrive under its own steam, got down there beautiful. And we parked it in front of the shop, and we had a cup of coffee. Benita came out, and the shop was shut, but she could hear this thing running outside. And it wasn't the smoothest running thing, I've got to say. But she came out, and we had some photographs taken, and she got us an ice cream, and I think I've paid for it. I didn't actually take any money in my pocket, but I got a feeling it's gone on my account down there. And we had a cup of coffee and took some photographs, and it was great. And then when we came out, we said, oh, I don't know, what do you think about driving out the village? Because there's some horrible places. So I said, well, let's tow it. We'll tow it at the village, and then we're safe. So we towed it out to 5 turn-ins, up the village, round the hairpin bends, and got out the village, and said, right, we'll cut you loose again now. So I went down the hill in front of him, and Tim came down after me. And you'll film it. If I can edit it in properly, I'll show you what it was like. But the thing was running like a dream. Still a bit of pop banging, but it was going good. And I got up to the drive in front of him, and we filmed it on there, and successful mission really. The old truck is running. That's the first time it's been running it's got to be 50 years. It's got to be 50 years. Anyway, I've yapped on long enough really. Didn't want to do that. I'm sat in front of the truck, so let me just see if I can turn it round. So here's the truck. It is what it is. It's an Austin 12 truck. There's a bit of a story to it, because it started out at over at St Mirren. It was a wartime. Well, started out. It finished up at St Mirren, and it was a taxi. It'd been a taxi, and some airmen had got this thing to run about in. So they got, it was. They were naval airmen. It was a naval base, but it was the St Mirren base, and so this thing was there, and I suppose it was what they used for running around. A taxi didn't matter, did it? Where it came from, I don't know. It's a Cornish registration on it, so it's got a bit of history to it. Anyway, the airmen, when they finished with it, Powell's garage in St Column, they wanted a vehicle to go out delivering with, and this taxi, of course, it wasn't really suitable, but I guess it was the right price. So they had the taxi and they cut it off, literally cut it off. So if you look in the back here, it's a shed, and you can see they just cut the thing off and put a wooden partition in the back, and then they built this lovely wooden butt on the back of it, and they used it to rent St Cullen, and they used to go and pick up these accumulator batteries where you take, I suppose you'd swap them, you'd take them and you'd get your battery charged up by the garage, and they would bring you a charged up battery and take the old one away to charge it up. So there's the registration. Now RL is doing the light on it. RL is a Cornish registration, and that just goes to show the age of it. RL 8534. I'm not sure if you could take that number plate off actually, because that doesn't have to be MOT'd now, it's beyond it. Of course we adorned it with Cornish flags just for the hell of it. So that's what it was when Powell's had it, and it was used, I suppose, satisfactorily until the clutch went, and it was just pushed back into a shed, and that's where it stayed. And I guess cars then weren't that expensive, you know, because it would have been an old car then. So they got this stuck in the shed. And when, some of you'll know, but Powell's had two garages in St Cullen. When they sold the bottom garage, this thing wasn't going to make anything, so it was shifted away from the garage to another lean-to, and that's where it stayed. And it was there for a lot of years until eventually Timmy found it. And this shed it was in, the roof had collapsed onto it, so it was in a bit of a state. And I don't know what Timmy paid for it, but it wasn't very much. But the truck wasn't very much either. I mean, if you think it's looking a bit on the rough side now, it was shocking then. The tyres were all shot on it, and it really was in a bad way. So Timmy persevered with this thing. I mean, I am talking 20 years ago, and I think he sold it to Andrew, and then Andrew brought it back. So there was some sort of combination between it, Andrew Northam, and Andrew did some work to it, and then Timmy took it on. And what Timmy did was, surprisingly, he spent money buying tyres. He brought these tyres in from I think they came in from America. They cost him a lot of money. It's a brand new set of tyres on there. The wheels, I think, are the right ones. You know, they were the ones with it, but the tyres were shot, and they're a rare tyre. So Timmy got the tyres, and he's bought various things on it which cost a lot of money. I know the gearbox, when he pulled the gearbox apart, see the lovely carpets in there, bit of carpentry there. Anyway, when he did some of the gearbox, and he literally fell apart. The bearings were all shot and it was knackered. So it was a bit like a jigsaw within a box, really. You know, you've got no picture to start with. So Timmy found one in Wales, and he bought this gearbox. The engine, he did quite a lot of work on the engine, him and Andrew between them. So they got it sorted out between them, and but it was still a bit of a jigsaw to put together. Now the radiator is probably one of the best features on it. It's a lovely radiator. It'll polish up nicely. And Timmy thought so much of this radiator. I think when his mother was there still, before Timmy took the house on his own, he used to keep this radiator in the spare bedroom, and it was actually in the bed under the quilt. He was so precious about it. I thought it was really funny that he kept it under the quilt, but that's where it was kept. And well, as you can see by the condition of it, it's beautiful. It's got this lovely badge on the front, and it's got to have a bit of brass on it yet, but that will shine up nicely. And then of course there's some mud guards missing off it, which will have to go on, but all the brakes have been redone. Clutch has been redone. It's got a new clutch, and it's good. It's he's achieved a lot. It got a few years back. It was looking a bit seedy, and I said, you might as well paint it. And he said, I was going to spray it. And I said, well, don't spray it because you'll never get a good enough job. So I said, just paint it John Deere green or something, and so that's what he did. He painted it with a brush, and yeah, it's not perfect, but then you were never going to make this perfect, and I think it adds to the character really. It didn't look good enough in the form. So anyway, there's the engine. This is the little rascal we've had the trouble with today, that bloody carburettor. But he's got it fairly tuned up now, and it is running right. So this was the pump that cost quite a lot of money and did it, but it's in there now. But as I say, it's there. It's a definite. It's one of these things. I think you couldn't make this look immaculate. And why would you want to? Because this is the character. If you know, I go on a bit oily rag finish tractors. You know, I don't particularly. It's got to be really good to be an oily rag, but this one, if you tried to do anything else with this, you would spoil it. I mean, that tells a myriad of stories really, and I don't think you should do anything with it. What I would like to see is a bit more paint on the back, and just square a few things up, get the lights working, and then I don't know whether it ever had it, but it'd be lovely to put Powell's Garage on those doors. This is my theory. Timmy can do what he wants really, it's his truck. But he's going to have a lot of fun with this. You know, it'd have been great to take around the rallies this year, and of course there is no rallies. So this is going to be its only outing really. So I'm glad we did it. I'm glad we got it for George's virtual tractor day. So that's all I can tell you really. And I think this is all I'm going to do today, because this for us was quite an event, and I think the pictures I can show you of us down the village, if I can add those into it, that'll be enough for you. So I've only done a few minutes now, but we've got a few pictures, so hopefully this will be enough for you. It's not tractors, nothing to do with tractors, but I am in the tractor shed at the moment, so I will just do a quick turnaround of so you boys that are here looking for Fordsons. There's an orange one sneaked in, look, but I'm going to talk about these another day. But this is my Fordson major shed. There's actually 5 of them out at the moment. So, and that Rogue thing that belongs to Timmy, that's one of those blimmin' Nuffields, and I had to put it in there because I had to shift it out of another shed, and I thought I'd better put it back in the drawer. And this is, Timmy was working on this. It's not gas propelled, it just happens to have that gas bottle on it. But it's one of these horrible things. Timmy started doing it, and everything he took off it, there was another problem. But he's done the front axle now, and it's on its way back, but the clutch has got to be put back together, and he's got to take it somewhere, and he's not confident going there while this lockdown's on. So that's why the truck got done. Isn't that beautiful? So anyway, that's all I'm going to say for today. I've told you about George, I've told you about Timmy, and that's the team really, so that'll do.
That sounded like a seize up, didn't it? That sounded a bit like a seize up, didn't it, boys?
Sounded good to me, Tim.
Yeah, I think she's alright.
You leave him rest a minute.
Yeah, I think she needs a rest. Yeah, that was good, wasn't it? Very good old Cornish boy. I think with this bang. You want to be 20 years younger to get it out of this thing, you know? Hey, the Cornish flags, eh?
Mission accomplished.
We got there, boy. Well, I like to say it was one of these world's great experiences you could ever have. And I don't know if I want to ever go down that road again. Tim Michelle, report time from St. Morgan's Village for BBC, Sky News, and Tregenatha Radio Company. There. Right. Probably have a few teething problems, but there again, you know, so did the RAF. I think we got her, Dave. Well, that's the ice cream challenge for today. That's one that time.
Very good. Very, very good.
That's right, Dave. That's the way to have it.
Well, there you are. not a dry eye in the house now. That last little bit at the end, I've got to thank Mike Sterling for that. He sent that down to me, and I couldn't resist putting on the end. But brilliant finish to it. Anyway, that's what we've been up to today. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's another one that's gone on a bit longer than I intended, but there's nothing I want to miss out. I mean, Timmy did a grand job, as usual. He's a superstar. I hope you found it interesting, and we'll have to see what we can do, turn up for tomorrow. So, cheerio, and keep doing the likes, keep doing the shares. I've put these on YouTube, and it's quite important that I get followers on that. So even if you don't see it all the way through, please go onto YouTube and friend it or whatever you have to do on that, because if in some ways, if I can get a following on there as well, there's an incredible amount of we've had I think there's 1,400 people watch these blogs so far, so I'm really thrilled with that. But I need more feedback. Keep the feedback coming. Keep telling us we're doing the right thing or the wrong thing or whatever. I hope you like what we've done today, because I just thought that was really good, and good for Timmy, good for me, good for everybody, good for the rallies, good for George's track today. Anyway, see you soon, and thank you for watching. Bye then.